Shane's life changed in Iraq. In an instant, everything was different. But when he came home, the farm was still here, same as ever, almost like it was waiting for him.
Start searching around for...
Yeah.
17 BLS 3.
Roger, get an ID.
Son of a bitch.
Where's ID?
1726.
I think boy got blown out the turret. Trail, get on the horn with battalion. Tell them what happened.
Hey, sir, get on.
Roger.
3125. Get a hold of Chakcha X-ray. Let them know that Scout hit the ID. Unbelievable.
On April 25th, 2004, Shane Wood was bleeding to death in a dusty village in Iraq. He was a long way from home.
When I was a kid, I did spend a lot of time on my grandpa and grandma's farm. I liked being outside. Just a lot of freedom.
About every time I went outside, he'd go along with me. Didn't make any difference. You know, it wasn't raining, cold, didn't make any difference. He wanted to go.
When I saw them out here working, I wanted to be involved in anything they were doing.
Ornery. He was an ornery kid, but he was a good kid. He stayed here a lot because his mother was going to school to be a nurse, and his father worked, and he was here with Grandma and I almost every day.
I signed up for the military when I was 17, between my junior and senior year in high school. They call it the delayed entry program.
Shane was trained as a cavalry scout and was sent to Kosovo. There, he was part of a peacekeeping force. But soon, he was given an entirely different mission.
February 2004, we deployed to Iraq. We hit the ground running. We were tasked to spearhead the movement into Iraq, which we led every regiment, every squadron to their forward operating base.
Operating deep inside Iraq, Shane's unit came under frequent enemy fire.
Everything goes through your head. The first time you're ever shot at least for me, I was scared to death. It's just a feeling you can't describe when you know that somebody's trying to take your life. And the sound of the bullets, they're different. War takes you down to who you are inside, not what you are on the outside. And it really tests, it just tests everything that you are. We had been called out to help an infantry unit that had a disabled vehicle in a not-so-friendly area. And they had an enemy presence there that was closing in on them, and they called our unit in to help. I was up on the gun, on top of the Humvee behind the 50, and I remember being lifted out of the gunner's hatch. I couldn't breathe, and I thought, well, that's not good. So I started feeling around and pulled my hand back out, and it was all covered in blood, and that's not good either. There was a big hole in my body armor.
It's devastating because you don't know you ain't there to help, you ain't there to do nothing. It's just kind of eats at your insides.
I was at work when I found out that Shane had been injured, and it was a little scary.
Vicky was also in the Army. She was stationed in Germany. They had been dating since Shane's Kosovo deployment.
She was the first one to meet me off the plane. I don't know how she got access to the tarmac, and I never really asked. I didn't care. Just glad to see her.
We immediately had to go to our health clinic there on post, and they just kind of gave me a crash course in trauma, and surprisingly, I did just fine. I really hate needles and blood.
She packed my wound 3 times a day, and it wasn't pretty. I mean, it was a pretty big hole back there. And I don't know how she did it, but she did it. I was on 60 days convalescent leave, so I could heal and fully kind of recover from that. We chose to fly back here to the States in July, and we got married July 31st here at the Kenton Presbyterian Church.
After a couple weeks in Ohio, the newlyweds flew back to Germany. During rehab, Shane heard some news.
In November of 2004, the Army was going to assault Fallujah, and it was going to be the largest battle since Vietnam. I wasn't supposed to go back to Iraq, but I made it my mission to be ready to go, and I worked harder in rehab and tried to get back into physical shape and able to come back and lead my team. So in November, I hopped on a C-5 in Germany and flew back to Iraq, met up with my unit. We hit Fallujah, and that was that.
It was pretty devastating
My wife was not happy.
because he'd already had been hurt once before.
That's just the way he is. He'd do it in a minute. He'd probably go now if they asked him.
Honestly, he felt like that was where he belonged and that he should be with the other men in his unit. But he didn't stay back for very long, though. They finally figured out that he shouldn't have been there.
In just a few more months, Shane's time in the United States Army came to a close.
That June, we came back to the great state of Ohio.
When he joined the Army, I was sure he'd be there for 20 years. There wasn't no doubt in my mind that he'd be there for 20 years.
When Shane got out of the military, I think it was very hard for him. He had his heart set on making the military his lifelong career. He was upset with himself, with life, and it caused some problems.
Nothing satisfied him. He kept everything inside of him pretty well.
I gave everything I had to the Army, especially at a young age, and it was all I knew. It's all I knew who to be. You have to re-identify yourself, and that was hard for me to accept.
You could tell when he had a good day or a bad day. Sometimes they just run together, sometimes they didn't.
It was very hard. The help that I got from that transition back to civilian was all for my family. Every single bit of it was for my family. It took everyone and a lot of focus and determination to just move forward.
The farm provided Shane with a sense of direction. Moving forward meant making a choice about which livestock to invest in. Shane had some experience with cattle. He had worked on his Uncle Lee's dairy farm.
I didn't want to be a dairy farmer because my Aunt Linda always told me that he was married to the cows first and her second. I like them, but not that much. So I figured, well, maybe the best way to do that is to get into the beef industry. I fell in love with the Highlands. They're super docile. That was important to me for the kids so that they could be around them, they could work with them.
The farm has been great for him. It gives him somewhere where he can go and just be alone and work out whatever his feelings are. He enjoys it a lot.
I would most definitely love to farm full-time and to create something sustainable for my family's future, to where this homestead farm will always be here, will always be in the family. The Farmer Veteran Coalition was extremely crucial in kind of helping me have the resources to kind of branch out on my own. And without their grant programs, without their guidance, it would have been very hard for me to be able to get my foot in the door.
The Farmer Veteran Coalition helps veterans all over the United States, financially, educationally, and emotionally.
Military and and agriculture have so much in common because you can provide things for your community. That's what I was missing, was that sense of belonging, that sense of service. Veterans have that mission-oriented mindset to where you need that in agriculture. You're out there, you put the hard work in, and if you put the work in, then you can move forward and say you gave it all you had.
If you love Our Ohio Television, then you'll enjoy being an Our Ohio supporter. For just $25, you can enjoy Our Ohio magazine, support Ohio food and farms, and stay connected to what's happening in your community. Visit supportourohio.org